Warning: this video contains themes of a sexual nature and bad language throughout.
I think I was around the age of 25 or so. So me and my girlfriend went to a club. She brought brought a friend of hers. It was a great evening. Wow. I think I know where this is going. Drinks were flowing, Drinks were flowing, Bit too much, I'd say. I got completely smashed, drunk, and at a certain point, I just had enough and wanted to go home. But my girlfriend at the time wanted to stay with her friend. So I told her that's fine, but I'm going home and meet her when she comes home. So I went to pick up my jacket and went home. Only outside the club, I remembered I gave my bank card to my girlfriend. That's fucking error number one. My phone died and the bouncer didn't want to let me back in. There I was, outside the club, and no financials for a cab, but a tenner in cash in my pocket. The club we went to was about 30 minutes away from my house by cab, but no clue where I was because it was the first time I'd been there. So I called the cab company, told them the street I was in and had a tenner to spend, and if they could pick me up, and when the meter hit the amount, to kick me out, but the cab never showed up. So I started walking and had an idea of which way to go. So I started looking for bikes or bicycles and where open or off its lock so I could go home quicker, me still being drunk as fuck. So after 20 minutes walking, I found a bike that didn't have a lock on it and borrowed it, in inverted commas, borrowed. I'll get back to the borrow part later in the story. Okay, so I went to the house where the bike was, and imagine me, drunk, 6'5". We're getting some deets on this chap. I'm assuming chap at 6'5", tall and weighing about 110 kilos. There was a children's bike the size of a toddler, like the size of the bike just had its training wheels off, I think. The bike was owned by a 6-year-old, I think. So drunk ass me borrowed the bike and went on my way home. Obviously, I'd be quicker walking, but my drunk ass thought this was quicker. So 20 minutes later, struggling to cycle home in the pitch black and no light on the bike, I saw something move in the distance. It was so windy, so I figured some branches from a tree that was on the cycle road. So I kept going. Closer and closer I came to the moving branches until I was next to it. Okay. It wasn't branches blown off of a tree, but a couple having sex on the cycle road. I mean, how drunk do you have to be to get right up next to a couple bonking to know that it's not a branch on a tree? I mean, what fucking position were they doing? The fork? I mean, fuck
Well,
me.
if it's dark,
Yeah.
you might just see the outline, and you'd think about it as like the trunk.
It's just what they were
With, like,
doing,
the-
right?
the legs,
Just this
yeah,
sort of
exactly.
actions. I mean, okay. So, oh my god, this gets better. So, my drunk ass stopped and said, "Hello, having fun, peeps?" They stopped having sex, looked at me on my toddler bike, we laughed, and I went on my way home. At that time, it was
okay.
about 4 a.m. midnight, and clubs were about to close, and I was almost home. I cycled past a club that was about to close, and folk was outside having fun, smoking cigarettes, saying their goodbyes, and I just waved and shouted, "What's goody?" Ha ha ha. They all laughed while looking at me, and I went to go home. When I was almost home, I got off the toddler bike and dumped it in the bushes. My girlfriend was home already and pissed at me, worried why I didn't answer my phone, so I explained the story, and that didn't help her mood. How could I steal a bike from a toddler? And should have waited outside the club. Hang on. Waited outside the club until they went home. She told me that I should bring the toddler bike back to the house where I got it. Back to the house where I got it from, or call the police, or to the police. If not, she was going to report my ass to the police. But I was drunk as fuck and couldn't remember where I got the bike from, so I told her I'd bring the bike to the police the next day. So as promised, the next day, with a massive hangover, I grabbed the bike and went to the police station. I put the bike in front of the police station and went inside. The desk officer greeted me and asked if she could help me. I replied to the police officer that I woke up this morning with this toddler bike tossed in my garden this morning and had no clue from whom it was, and wanted to be a good citizen and bring it to the police station for lost and found. The police officer was surprised and said, "Wish there were more people like you." The officer asked about my details for when the owner of the toddler bike wanted to send a thank you note. I replied to the officer, "We're all good, just hope the bike gets back to the owner." so didn't leave my details and went home to enjoy the hangover with my girlfriend at the time. The sin is, and it wasn't even stealing because they returned it, right?
Yeah,
They returned the bike.
It's technically borrowed. They didn't take it.
And you should love thy neighbour, and the toddler should love thy neighbour and share and help the chap get home.
Yeah, exactly.
I do not feel there's a sin. I feel they did not want to shortchange the cabs. And I feel that a 6'5" person weighing 110 kilos on a 6-year-old's bike would be fucking hilarious. So the best I've ever done is I was drunk and with some friends, I was visiting them at uni. They were in like 2nd or 3rd year, and we broke into one of the halls. I stole a pack of curry flavour super noodles, and a high-vis jacket with Fire Marshal written on the back. Realise now that's a health and safety issue waiting to happen, so I will confess my sins and stuff. And then what we also did is poured them out a bowl of cornflakes with milk as well. Bearing in mind this was like 2 a.m, so that's going to be smelling lush the next day. Put a whole egg into a pan, just a whole egg, and the pan went on. Just put it on, and a tin of spaghetti hoops to make them breakfast. So as a thank you for the noodles and the high vis jacket, and that's the best I've ever done from a night out.